moi.
Welcome to Disturbing Ideas. I'm Pat Boyle. Each week, we present an idea that is indisputably true, but which is seldom discussed anywhere else because it makes some people uncomfortable. Tonight, we discuss the policy of nation building. The idea is that we, the U.S., could defend ourselves best by converting unstable dictatorships around the world into stable, democratic, free enterprise nations. It was observed that modern democracies don't invade their neighbors. So the way to world peace, it was said, was to make more democracies. That's roughly why we went into Iraq to oust Saddam Hussein. Well, Iraq didn't work out quite the way George Bush and a lot of the neocons had hoped. The Middle East doesn't seem to be more stable today. Nation building is now accepted as a repudiated and thoroughly discredited concept whenever Democrats speak of Republican proposals for military adventures abroad. But is it? Can America transform other nations through military means, or is this just an example of American hubris? Is the idea that we can create a new democracy on foreign soil that has never known democracy a crazy overreach that has been discredited by recent history? Was Iraq a lesson as to our limits? There's a lot of criticism for nation building. Look at this, for example.
If we don't stop extending our troops all around the world in nation-building missions, then we're going to have a serious problem coming down the road, and I'm going to prevent that.
Well, I think the party has lost its way because the conservative wing of the Republican Party always advocated a non-interventionist foreign policy. Senator Robert Taft didn't even want to be in NATO. George Bush won the election in the year 2000 campaigning on a humble foreign policy, no nation building, no policing of the world.
I think what we need to do is convince people who live in the lands they live in to build the nations. Maybe I'm missing something here. I mean, we're going to have kind of a nation-building corps from America? Absolutely not. Our military is meant to fight and win war. That's what it's meant to do.
Not anymore. The new field manual and the operations directive that goes along with it put nation building on par with regular old shooting and bombing, conventional warfare. The Army's announcement of the new report describes its new goals as providing humanitarian aid to the suffering, promoting participation in government, spurring economic development, addressing the root causes of conflict among disenfranchised populations of the world. So the military is now the Peace Corps?
I drive a Toyota. I considered a Ford, but ultimately I chose a Toyota. My next door neighbor drives a Mercedes and a Porsche. Those are all American cars in a sense. Mercedes used to make engines for the Bf-109, the Nazi fighter plane that dueled the Spitfires over the Channel in the Battle of Britain. Porsche made tanks and tank destroyers in that same conflict. Why did they change? They changed because we made them change. We killed 20 million Germans. Not alone, of course. We had a lot of help from the Russians and the Brits. But fundamentally, America put Germany on the path it is on today by demonstrating our resolve with firebombings, battles of annihilation, and a policy of total surrender. In Japan, we use nuclear weapons as well as the bombing of civilians. That's Hiroshima. The result of all this mass murder has been that we created two of the most civilized and prosperous nations on earth. Japan is number 3 as a world economy, and Germany, I believe, is number 4. The key to all this nation-building success? Mass murder. That's Tokyo. That's Berlin. On the media, you hear pundits decry the lack of good Muslims who are willing to ally with us against the bad or radical Muslims. I have a solution. Kill a lot of Muslims indiscriminately. The peaceful Muslims, if there are really any such, will then be more than willing to rat out the suicide bombers. If that is too harsh for your taste, how about just resurrecting the internment camps? There are said to be more than 1 billion Muslims on earth, and we seem to be in a war on Islam, which for some reason we prefer to call a war on terror. That's good news. It's what they call a target-rich environment. Given the casualty figures that we ran up in the successful nation-building operation of World War II, I estimate that we'll need to kill about 100 million Muslims. Now, many of you think my advice is a little harsh. Not really. War is a terrible thing. We should not engage in it at all unless we are willing to embrace its terrible reality. We delude ourselves if we think we can fight without boots on the ground, that we will only use surgical strikes and we can avoid collateral damage. These are all illusions that just make things worse. Imagine, if you will, what would have been the outcome had we had the capability the week after Pearl Harbor, the week that Nazi Germany declared war on us, to fire a rocket that killed Adolf Hitler and no one else. No boots on the ground, no D-Day, no Battle of the Bulge, no American infantry casualties at all. Also, for the Germans, there would be no collateral damage in the form of the Dresden firestorm. Tom Clancy has written a couple novels advocating something very much like this. Have a sniper decapitate a dictatorship, he says. But what would have happened? First of all, Reinhard Heydrich would have been made Führer, and Heydrich was called by Hitler the man with the iron heart. Compared with Heydrich, Hitler was a pussycat. The invasion of the Soviet Union would have continued. The building of the Atlantic Wall would have continued. The Holocaust would have continued. Hitler made a number of strategic errors on the Eastern Front, errors that helped the Allies to ultimately prevail. Heydrich might have done better for the Nazi cause. There was no clean, simple, and painless way to extirpate Nazism. Our American bombers blew up war factories in daylight bombing, but our British allies also contributed to the war effort with their campaign of nighttime terror bombings on defenseless civilians. A case can be made that collateral damage won the war. There is no doubt that collateral damage won the peace. The German people had had enough. Out of their utter defeat and humiliation, they built a humane, prosperous, and peaceful nation. Thank you for your attention. Please tune in next week.
Scheinmelig son du kom, det var von der Bar.